everyone, it's Bob. Welcome back to Modern Life for the 70s Mind and Bob's Cabinet of Curiosities. I have kind of an interesting one today, and I think maybe you'll find it a little interesting. We are going to play a game. First time ever on Cabinet of Curiosities that we're going to be playing a game. And the name of the game is this an 8-track tape? So keep that in mind, and I'm going to start showing you some tapes, and you have to tell me whether it is an 8-track tape or not. All right? So here we go. First off, is this an 8-track tape? Give you a second to think about it. The answer is no. This is not an 8-track tape. This is actually called an NAB Cart Tape, or I think they were also known as Fidelipacks, and they were used exclusively pretty much in radio stations from like the mid-1950s into the 1900s. They were a 2-track format, and the first tape that actually utilized the endless loop like an 8-track does, where you don't have to flip it over. It just, once it comes to an end, it just starts again, so it's an endless loop. These actually played twice the speed of 8-track tapes, and they were numbered. And why were they numbered, you ask? This says, and I know you can't read it, but this says Mockingbird, Carly Simon, and James Taylor, and this is marked 1878. So what would happen, the producer of the radio shows would say, all right, pull out tape 1878. They'd go to this cabinet that had all the tapes, they'd pull out 1878, stick this in the machine, and play away. Each tape was one song, and the quality was much better than the later 8-track tapes, only because they were faster and they used less recording on more tape. So basically, instead of recording like an 8-track, you're recording 4 different tracks on one piece of tape. This only used one because it was a 2-track format. So those were the NAB cart tapes. They're also known as cart tapes, just cart. Probably because they would stack these on a cart, I guess. All right, so the next one. Is this an 8-track tape? Ready? No. This is called a stereo pack, or also known as a 4-track tape. These were used in cars. Where this first one I showed you was used in radio stations, these were actually used in cars. And the problem with these, the big thing was, they didn't switch tracks automatically. And being a 4-track tape, there was only 2 channels, channel 1 and channel 2. And in case you don't understand why, if it's a 4-track, you only have 2 tracks, each track, when something is recorded, requires, or each song, I should say, requires 2 tracks because you have stereo. So each side of the stereo has its own recording. So a 4-track would actually play 2 different tracks. I hope that makes sense. These, I think they started right around early 60s, 1962. And they also played twice the speed as 8 tracks. Now, what you're asking is, I'm sure, can you take this and stick it in an 8-track player? No, because there's no pinch roller here. Normally, if you look at an 8-track tape, there's a pinch roller right here that would push up against in the machine and would push up and make the tape turn. This utilized the roller that was inside the machine. So if you stuck this in an 8-track, besides being goofed up on how many tracks there are, it just wouldn't spin. It would just sit there wondering what the heck you're doing. So these are stereo packs. There weren't a lot of players with these, so they really didn't last very long. And I was talking to someone online earlier, yesterday I think, and they said someone stole their 4-track player out of the car, and she said the joke was on them because they probably thought it was an 8-track, and when they stuck their 8-track tapes in there, it wouldn't have worked. So I thought that was pretty good. All right, as we continue, is this, you gotta love this tape, is this an 8-track tape? John Travolta says yes, this is an 8-track tape. And these were out from the 1960s to the 1990s. They peaked actually in 1978, but at that point they started losing out to cassettes, and cassettes took over. Like I was saying before, the 8-tracks have the pinch roller. And that was the big difference between this and the first two. And these played at half the speed. Plus, instead of having 2 tracks, or 2 different tracks you could switch to, these had 4. But what this did have that the other ones didn't have, it had an automatic switching system. So once the tape was playing, it would hit, excuse me, it would hit a little metal piece, which would automatically tell it, hey, switch tracks, and it would switch tracks. So yes, this is an 8-track tape. We continue. There's more. All right. Is this an 8-track tape? Kinda. This is an 8-track, but it's also known as the Quad 8 or Q8. These were manufactured much later. What these had was additional separation in the channels, if you know about how stereo developed. These were mostly used in classical music only because there was so much different music that you could have separated out. So, and I think this one is classical as well. Yes, it is. And some of these have become fairly collectible. Now, this was similar to the 8-track, that it did have the pinch roller. And it just basically what this did was separate the sound a little bit better. I know you're going to ask me, could you play this in an 8-track tape player? I think the answer is yes. I'm quite sure it's yes. The only thing I can't tell you is how it sounded. I want to say it didn't sound as good. That's all. All right. We continue. Is this an 8-track tape? No, it is not. I think the words gave it away. This is pretty cool, though. This is a double head cleaner. And what's kind of unique about this, there's something on this end and on that end. So this side would clean the head, and you would run it, and it would actually beep. And after it beeped 3 times, that was enough, and you could pull it out. Then you would switch it over to this side, and this would clean the tape drive. So it was kind of fun. I remember actually having one of these. This one was not mine. I actually bought this on eBay because I was looking for it, and I actually found it. So interesting things. They all look like 8-tracks, but they're not. This one's going to be easy. This is the last one. Is this an 8-track tape? No, clearly not. It's got a plug to it. Do you guys know what this is? This is a tape head demagnetizer. As a tape would run across the head, it would have a tendency, especially because a lot of these things had metallic in them, they would get slightly magnetized. What could happen? The tape could change. It could affect the even movement of the tape. So you would run this demagnetizer, and this would kind of clear it up, and the tape would supposedly run a little better. Honestly, I had one of these, and this isn't mine either. Well, it's mine, but I bought it. I never noticed a difference. I did it just because the guy at the stereo store said it was a good idea. So that is a tape head demagnetizer. Anyways, there's probably more. That's all I have. But I thought you might find that interesting because you see something laying on the ground, you're like, oh, that's an 8-track tape. Maybe, maybe not. So anyways, do you guys like that? If you have any stories about stuff like this, or if you have other examples of different type of things, please let me know. I would appreciate it. Okay, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please click the like button below. And if you would subscribe to my channel, that would be awesome. I will catch you next time. I'm planning on doing a bunch of these Cabinet of Curiosities videos, so you will see me around for sure. All right, guys. Peace out. Have a good one. Talk to you soon. Bye.